Thanks for joining us here for 9 News Mornings at 6 o'clock. I'm Drew Carney.
And I'm Corey Rose. As you get ready to head out the door, we have some traffic trouble to warn you about that could hold up your commute. 9 News traffic anchor Brianna Fernandez has called a traffic impact alert. What are you seeing out there, Brianna?
Yeah, right now we're still seeing a very active scene. Our Joe Swanson just arrived to the scene. This is all happening in the Brighton area. We know that this is a fatal investigation involving a pedestrian. Northbound Highway 85 at Bromley Lane. So we are seeing Brighton police there on scene. It looks like this probably could be the vehicle that was involved, but we are seeing crime scene tape up and down this area. So northbound Highway 85, no one will be able to get through. We know, according to police, that the driver did stay on scene. Again, we know that this is a fatal investigation. So I want to switch things over to our CDOT cameras because we're also tracking another crash that's happening along southbound I-25 near 84th Avenue between 84th and Highway 36. So we are slowing down in this area as well because 3 right lanes are shut down as well. So only that one far left lane is open for drivers. I want to switch things over to our main maps, talk about all these crashes that we are tracking for your Tuesday morning. It's been very busy. So you can see that purple shaded area is where we're seeing that full closure, where our photojournalist Joe Swanson was just giving us a live look of northbound Highway 85 at Bromley Lane. If you want to avoid this altogether, you can just turn right along 144th Avenue, go up to Sable Boulevard, which will then turn into 4th Avenue. Now your drive along southbound I-25 just after the North Glen area, so really North Washington, Federal Heights, southbound I-25 is where we're seeing that crash. That 3 right lanes are partially blocked. So from 144th down to 76th, you're looking at a 40-minute drive. Again, not ideal because we are slowing down to 14 miles per hour. So we're going to start to see that morning rush hour traffic plus that crash. So please try to avoid this area if you can.
All right, thanks, Brianna. We're going to check in with Katie for a full look at your weather forecast as well here in just a minute. But first, major developments in a high-profile case that has captivated the country.
A man who has spent more than 30 years behind bars for a series of Grand Junction pipe bombings just had his murder charges dropped. Shalima Maharaj joins us in studio right now. And Shalima, ultimately, this came down to science.
That's exactly it. On Monday, the 21st Judicial District Attorney's Office dismissed the double murder charges against James Genrich, tied to those pipe bombings in Grand Junction from the late 80s and early 90s that killed a man and a 12-year-old girl. Now, the state's only direct evidence at his trial in 1993 was a forensic method known as tool mark matching. Now, during his trial, a forensic tool mark expert testified that marks left on the bombs could only have come from tools found at Genrich's home. Prosecutors claimed that microscopic marks less than a quarter millimeter on the bomb fragments could be traced to a single tool. In 2023, a judge ordered a new trial for the murder charges, saying the tool mark testimony was the cornerstone of the trial, and it has since been found to be scientifically unreliable. But he is not getting out. Why? He was also convicted of related explosives charges. The same discredited evidence used in the murder conviction was also the primary evidence used to convict on the explosives charges. Still, earlier this year, the Mesa County District Court ruled that Genrich could not challenge those convictions because of a filing deadline that was missed by his former lawyers. His current legal team is challenging that decision, so that means he will continue to serve out his 72-year sentence. His family, meanwhile, they are vowing to keep fighting until he is free. Shalima Maharaj, 9 News.
Time now for checking your forecast. It is 6:02. Mild, mostly cloudy, temperatures in the upper 40s to low 50s right now here over the Denver area. But we're watching a storm system roll into Colorado this Tuesday, April 14th. It will bring us a good chance for scattered rain showers throughout the course of the afternoon and evening. We're watching mountain snow this morning, especially over the highest terrain. And we do, in the forecast on Friday, have the chance for some snow here over the Denver area, but not for today. Out the door this morning, it's a relatively mild storm system, but that low off to the southwest, dragging in more meaningful, much needed precipitation. Now over higher terrain up over Rocky Mountain National Park, you will find some snowflakes flying heading west over the tunnel, mainly wet roadways at lower terrain in the mountains. And we do have the chance from the Denver area, Littleton out through Boulder and Golden of seeing a few brief sprinkles this morning. And you can see in downtown Aspen, it's not really going to be snow accumulating at lower terrain, but you get above 10,000 feet. That is beneficial for our mountains that we'll be seeing throughout the course of the day, that snow. Now here this morning, winds are calm, 51 currently in our backyard. Better chance for a little more notable precipitation, better chance for seeing that accumulation into the mountains as well as we get throughout this afternoon as it becomes a little bit heavier in terms of the coverage. Cooler, breezy, rain jacket out and about for today. You can see as we get into the evening commute, highs will be only in the upper 50s to low 60s. Wet weather potential rolling through after about 5 p.m. Denver out across the eastern plains will clear out quickly for tomorrow and on Thursday. As mentioned, we have a stronger, colder storm that we're tracking for Friday. Details on that one still to come.
Katie, we are talking fire season right here. Governor Polis freeing up resources to help fight a fire that's burning southeast of Trinidad this morning. He declared an emergency last night in response to the Schwackheim fire that's burned roughly 450 acres in the Lake Dorothy State Wildlife Area. It started on Sunday, but so far firefighters have not been able to get any containment. It's also not clear what started the fire.
Colorado leaders say they are disappointed after FEMA denied the state's request for more disaster aid following last year's fires and flooding. They say FEMA denied Colorado's appeal for additional aid in the Lee and the Elk fires. The fires burned about 150,000 acres and caused $27 million in damage. The state was also denied aid for record flooding in western Colorado that caused $13 million in damage. FEMA says the disasters do not meet the threshold for a major disaster declaration, which would unlock additional federal funding. Colorado's emergency management director says the state's recovery task force will continue to support families and search for alternative funding sources. Aurora Fire Rescue have launched a new program allowing first responders to give out an overdose reversing drug while they're out responding to calls. They say they have 950 kits containing 2 doses of naloxone, which you may know by the brand name Narcan. Paramedics can give them to people they believe to be at risk of an opioid overdose. They can also offer them to family, roommates, or other people with personal connections who may be around to help in the event of an overdose. Aurora Fire Rescue says they reported more than 320 suspected opioid-related overdoses last year, and they administered Narcan more than 500 times.
Denver is another step closer to blocking the construction of new data centers for up to a year. Mayor Mike Johnston proposed a moratorium back in February. He said the moratorium would give the city more time to review and strengthen regulations around the sites as people raise their concerns about things like water and energy use. Yesterday, City Council gave its initial approval on the moratorium. A public hearing is scheduled for next month.
When the road to Mount Blue Sky reopens next month, the city of Denver will be taking on more responsibilities. City Council approved a new agreement to manage the Welcome Station, Summit area, and Mount Goliath Natural Area. The city had already been managing Echo Lake Park and Summit Lake Park. City staff will now work at the Welcome Station and carry out some park maintenance. U.S. Forest Service will still have staffing there and get a share of the revenue.
When we had 2 different agencies trying to manage the same areas, it was very confusing for visitors. The fee structure was not clear, and I think that it didn't always give them a great experience. And this will streamline it and simplify it for visitors.
The road to Mount Blue Sky has been closed for repairs for the past 2 years.
And our photographer Joe Swanson still on scene of this fatal investigation that's happening in the Brighton area for anyone taking northbound Highway 85. This is all happening at the Bromley Lane intersection, and that's because of a fatal investigation involving a pedestrian. We know this is a crash that happened bright and early this morning. We have crime scene tape at the moment. No one can get through northbound Highway 85. If you want to avoid this altogether, you can always take 144th up to Sable Boulevard.